All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, June 3rd at 3:05 p.m. Calling to order this meeting of the 911 Services Enterprise. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. First item of business will be approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the draft minutes of the regular meeting of May 6th and the special meeting of May 13th? If so, are there any changes, concerns, recommendations for edits, or is there a motion to accept?
I'd make a motion to approve the May 6th and May 13th minutes.
Thank you, Amy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lynn. Any further discussion, concerns, comments, edits? Hearing none, is there anyone opposed to the May 6th or May 13 minutes? Hearing none, they are accepted. I also wanted to point out, as we were going over a few things, I did notice, where is the share my screen tool? There it is. So in our previous minutes on the website, there we go. Our second meeting of January 15th, originally it also said December 18th, 2024, and in the date said December 18th, 2024, even though our second meeting was January 15th, 2025. So that has been corrected on both the website and in the minutes. All right, up next is public comments. Public comments I did not do right by you this month, Sage. Public comments were left off. Kirsten, is there any problem if we open to public comments?
Nope.
Since
And I apologize, Sage. I also completely missed that.
I apologize.
we'll get there eventually. Public comments are limited to up to 15 minutes total, and each member of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on any topic relevant to the purposes of the enterprise. If any member of the public would like to speak, please indicate so now by raising your hand in Zoom to be called upon. After we address any raised hands in Zoom, we will then call for any additional comments from members of the public who have dialed in on a phone line or might not otherwise be able to indicate so in Zoom. Is there anybody who would like to comment from the public? Seeing no hands, is there anybody who is unable to raise a hand? You can unmute and state your name to be called upon. Hearing none, public comment is closed. All right, annual financial report. I am going to stop sharing. Lynn, did you have that latest draft you wanted to share?
I do. I thought I'd share the, I apologize. I don't know if anybody has had a chance to do their review already. I know it didn't go out till Tuesday. But I can either share the red line copy or the clean copy. The red line copy, if you really haven't been through it, might help understand what used to be in there versus today. And I don't think it's too messy, but should we go with the red line?
Sure.
All right, let me share. Oh, I think I have to send my little request to you.
Just accepted that request.
Okay. One. Okay, here to be shared. And hopefully I can make this, yeah, that'll work. So I'll just go ahead and kind of step through each of these if I'm moving too fast and somebody has a comment prior. please let me know. I tried to use the general body and content of the prior document and just adjust based on previous comments we had, as well as the approved 2027 fiscal year budget. So for a little while here, I think it's pretty straightforward, but I can stop as we need to. We might need to circle back to this first one. I wrote this based on what the statute requests we provide in here. So I left in the identifies known and projected revenues. So that really refers to that 2027 fiscal year budget, as well as expenditures. Well, it basically has the projected revenues. I could say revenues instead of just projected. I think that now, because it's really both for 2026, and then the revenue and expense projections for 2027. If when we get to the bottom of it, we solely decide to just put in 2027 and nothing relevant to 2026, we can take out part of this sentence up above. So I'm
And I
gonna,
think we do need to and should include 26 in this.
okay, so then that's gonna make a difference then when we get to the bottom as to how we want to represent that. And as simply as we can would be great. This is just, again, background data.
And I have in my notes that at the end of the bullets that all meetings, agendas, and public documents, it just seems like a duplicate to me from the first paragraph under B where you link to the website. So I didn't know
Okay.
that
Okay.
there was a
So
need
we
to
can
have
just
that
strike that.
twice, basically.
Good catch. Okay, again, I went back out there, Sage. I didn't see the document retention policy out on the website.
It's there now. We were
Is
just
it
waiting
there?
for final signatures on that.
Okay. So we'll get rid of that. Then I think that's it, except for the, and was the fiscal year 2027 budget is out there right now, right?
Ultimately, I think this document is creating or formalizing our 27 document. I don't know.
Okay, so what we approved in the interim meeting or the additional meeting we just had, it's not going to be that document. We'll hold on this item, how we want to say this till we get through that budget piece then. Okay, I think really that just starts on.
In that bottom paragraph, it starts with the board voted on July 23. Scroll up.
Scroll up.
That right there.
Oh, here we
That
go.
bottom paragraph. So my thoughts on that, just to clarify and really reiterate, after the 1.8 million statement, my thought is take that out of parentheses. So it's to generate 1.8 million as prorated for 9 months. So instead of the opening parentheses, the word as, and then after instead of the closing parentheses,
Right there.
yeah. And then after March 2026, deleting the closing parentheses and say, due to the timing of the enterprise creation and the commission's surcharge setting process, to really set the stage for why it's not a full year, basically.
Okay, so tell me what we should put in the
So
parentheses.
one delete to take out the parentheses
Okay,
and replace it with the word as, AS. And then at the end, after March 2026, delete that close parentheses, space, due to the timing of the enterprise creation and the commission's surcharge setting process.
very,
And Matt has been so nice to have his hand up and wait his turn.
okay.
I was gonna just ask you a question about the previous bullet point discussion. We can wrap this up and then go back to that if you like.
Okay,
That was it for me on that one.
okay. Back to the bullets.
To clarify, Michael, I think what you were saying about that very last bullet point is this is that document. So should we have that bullet point at all or delete the entire bullet point?
I would delete the bullet point. And then once we have this document, we would post this document to the website.
Mhm.
But unless we want a separate document, I see this as our budget setting document.
Okay,
It's sort of circular. This bullet point refers to this document, so there's no need for that point. Is your point?
and I just put this comment in here just to double check. We don't want the previous 2026 budget from which we are changing. On the website are listed here.
We've got the fee setting memo, which included that as part of
They
that fee
included it.
setting.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I agree.
we're not hiding anything. There's just no need to
yeah,
reinvent and as Matt said, go circular on this.
okay. Okay. So I continue to scroll here. Now this sits in here and it's actually struck out of here with this red line. It's just not super obvious in the red lines here, but this table is no longer in here. And that's where we get to kind of the new the new table A. And I just took the document from the last meeting that Sage sent out that showed the kind of the revised fiscal year budget. And that's what's reflected here. And then for our discussion today, added in the alternative to include the 2026 revenue and wanted to see if this was a sufficient way to do it. And then possibly add into a footnote, and possibly down in here, or we could as its own separate footnote, indicate what the expenditures were in 2025, 26 kind of timeframe. So to date, what the expenditures were rather than trying to include, or we could, just like I did with revenues, put in prior year expenditures. It just got, when I tried to figure out how to do it, it got a little more complicated. So the adjustment here was simply, had in this estimated beginning balance line may need to come out, but well, it really is the same. It is, no, it's okay. Because I added in here, 911 Enterprise B trust or trust cash fund prior year carryover. And this is the 2-month amount that we had decided to kind of, we won't know June. We may know June.
We won't know
Daryl can
June
help,
because we need to
Daryl
get
and
it
Julie
in
can help with that as of the time we submit this report, but in the event we didn't, this was through May. The total beginning balance, and then the rest becomes the projected revenues, which when I took a look at this, so I'm trying to explain this the most simple way I can. When I took a look at if we had the 3 cents and we ran it for the rest of the time, at the level we're currently receiving, you do end up with about $2.4 million. It's like 2.357 something. So you really come very close to that 2.4 projection that is in here. So I kind of wanted to get, without trying to make adjustments in too much in the remainder of all of these programs and anything here. I just thought about it as assuming we stay at that same revenue level and we come out about at this 2.24. If you want to assume that in 2027 fiscal year, we actually get 2.4 million just in the 2027 fiscal year, I think that's going to cause us to have to add more to our reserve.
Gotcha. To account for that initial.
The initial 334,000 plus what we would get in June.
So budget was not on our agenda, so I don't know that we can, Kirsten, keep me honest, adjust our budget in that way, but we can take it into account in this document.
This was my way of not adjusting the budget.
Okay.
Or it would just assume, we had talked before that potentially because, over time you would expect carriers, there might be more coming in month to month. That you might get more, but if it doesn't come in more month to month, then I think these numbers kind of balance out with the current revenue stream.
I can see both sides of that. I think we should probably hold off on discussing a change or at least making a decision on a change to the budget. That would probably have to be a second action.
And because this document is due by the end of the month, if we need to make a change, we would need to call a special meeting sometime this month ahead of that.
Yes. Matt, do you have input?
Well, we're dancing on the head of a pin. The statute requires the budget to be included in the financial report. The financial report was on the agenda.
That is true.
I think in the future, agendas that name the financial report as an item should say financial report, including budget.
And budget.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in some
I
fashion. Mhm.
go ahead.
In some fashion, Michael, yeah, because we're required to include the budget in the report.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'm comfortable with that since it is part of the report.
And required to be.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So then I guess that poses the question then to Lynn's thoughts and to that essentially that 334 plus thousand. Do we add that to give us some reserves to make sure we are prepping for the future? Do we add more to some of these priority positions? Where do we account for that in essentially aiming for a $0 with reserve balance? Yes, Matt.
I like the right column. To me, it's important to show the readers what our fund balance is at the start of the year, what we're carrying over, if you will. And then, however we adjust below that, I'm open to discussion.
I agree. I like the left column better. I think it is more informative.
The right column?
I'm sorry, you said, I'm sorry, which one were you saying?
I'm saying the alternative, the right column, because it shows what we're carrying over.
Yes.
Right.
If I said left, I apologize. I meant right.
No
The
worries.
more expansive alternative column.
The other left. Yes.
And I could put in right here that it is, when I say prior year carryover, or in a footnote that it is, through May 2026. Or we can wait and see what that, add in the additional June revenue, but then we'd have to have a meeting and I think vote on it again and say we're good with that.
With the reporting timeline, I don't know, Daryl, correct me, I don't know that we're going to get June information before June 30th by
Oh,
June
that's
30th.
wait. And let me make sure, let me just be sure I said this right. It is March and April revenue,
Mhm.
So we could
right?
have
Because we
May.
got our first payment in March. So this is March and April revenue. I had the wrong month, not including May or June.
This is Daryl. Yes, you will not have June by the time this is due, but you will
Will we have
May.
May?
Yes.
When
We'll get
will we have
May.
May?
We'll get May around the middle of June.
Right. Sorry, I had the wrong one. So it does not include May. This is through April. And if we wanted to include May, I think you're gonna have the same result at the end of the day. Because that's how I calculated out, the revenue we're still missing. But we could identify what that is up here.
Matt?
It's okay to estimate what you think your total revenues are going to be. And then that's the basis for your projections for the next fiscal year's budget.
Would you recommend or would you like to see essentially this current line, we can retitle it, realized or actual cash fund, and then a new line for projected additional, or
I would call it fiscal year 2026 projected revenues.
Okay.
And then do an estimated amount based on the first 2 months for what the third month, and then the total might be, that's your estimation is your projection.
Is that, as it is, so this, I just did that this would be we don't really need this column, we'll move over. So we don't really need this label anymore. Oops. Oh, I guess it's not letting me do it as a red line. Oh, tables are a challenge. So basically.
Yeah. I agree though, Lynn, it's probably not necessary.
Yeah, so we wouldn't really have a label over here. We would just have
Yep.
this. Okay,
So you would adjust that
then we would take this
334,000
out.
to be
So,
your projected estimate for March, April, May.
okay, so it would be. Wouldn't I need to include June, since the fiscal year starts July 1st, right?
correct.
Oh, July 1st.
Okay.
So yeah,
So once we get those absolute numbers for May and then the projection for June.
So we do want to get the absolute numbers and then have another meeting to approve after the 15th.
I guess since we're projecting anyway,
yeah.
what is your level of comfort with projecting where
The
we should be?
projection would end up being 668,556.
Yep.
You say that very confidently, and that's not a random number. So I am.
According to what I did, I essentially, because this is 2 months, I essentially split it in half to find out what the average was and then multiplied it by 4, because we would be representing March, April, May, June. So this right here would become,
Doubling that.
oh, that would have probably been a quicker way to do it. I don't know why it put it up here.
Red lines and tables in Word.
Yep, I'm gonna have to, there we go. Oh, and this is we have a 0.00s in. So that then changes the beginning balance. Oh, no. Now I got to think through this again, since this is not in a spreadsheet in this document. So that then says if the projected revenue is this, let's see.
So that should stay the same.
Yeah. I think. General expense. Okay, the net expense is the same. Let's see. Expense.
I think,
Oh, I think what
don't think
it
that's the-
was. Go ahead.
I don't think that's a net expense. Was that supposed to reflect an ending total?
Yeah. So what ends up happening is you had. No, the net expense should just be, yeah. Should just be the 2.4. That's just wrong. This should be 2.400. Whoops. So if we have the same net expense, what it
Well, then
What
I think we need
maybe
another
needs to
line
change
underneath
is-
that.
uh-huh.
I think we'd need another line underneath that for a carryover balance, essentially. And that's, I guess the only other question I have is program reserves isn't really an expense. That I would think program reserve would go off onto its own line
Mhm.
away from other expenses because it is encumbered, but it's not an expense in the same way. And
It's
then
not a program per se.
exactly, it's not money going out. It is money being reserved.
Okay.
And then a final line of carryover balance that incorporates the revenue, the expenses. And I've seen that in a lot of documents, I've seen that as two lines that one is, encumbered, reserve funds that are being held aside, and then unencumbered carryover, kind of open carryover that is available for programs.
So the total program expense, and then this really, what this is reflecting now is the total expense, which is the general plus the program.
Mhm.
And then let's see what I can do it. Yeah, right.
Try hitting tab a few times so that it wraps into the next line. Tab 2 more times. Is that not? No, it's not going to do it for you.
Yeah. So total expense, right, and I'm not sure. I know right away it's times. Let me see. So we need a. Why is this?
I think there's an extra enter underneath the right columns 2,400 or 22.4 million.
Say that again.
So click into that last corner cell.
This one.
Yep, and hit delete.
There we go. I just need a new row.
Oh, there you go. If you hover over where the line is on the left side, and that little plus box that appears down and to the left a little, just a hair.
Yeah.
That
There we
guy.
go. There we go. There it is. All right. So this one is total expense. And then tell me how you wanted this last one labeled. That was the
So I would go down one more line just for separation, add one more. And, open to ideas, but my thoughts are one line for encumbered carryover and one line for unencumbered carryover, or program reserve carryover and unencumbered carryover. Something to differentiate that there are essentially two carryover buckets. One that's being saved for a
So
rainy
is it
day and one that's available for projects.
encumbered 2026,
This would be for 27.
27?
Fiscal year 27 ending balance or carryover or something to indicate that it's the end of the year
That
total.
there is, which since we're getting rid of this column anyways, this would really be the 668, 556.
That would be the 190,000 that we designated for reserve
Oh, is
purposes.
encumbered.
Yeah.
And then what is the next label you were saying?
So unencumbered, unencumbered fiscal year 27 ending balance. And that would be the 668, 556, unless we put that somewhere else.
If the Okay. Does this, I'm right here, this one that says total expense 2.4 million. Do we really need that? Cause that was really including that doesn't seem right here, cause that was really including the 190,000, right?
Well, I would say both. We could
Or the
keep it
100
or leave it. I'm good either way, but either the 2.24 needs to go down the 190 and or the 2.4 needs to go down because we removed that 190
right
from the
from above here.
expenses. So the total program expenses needs to be dropped by 190,000. And then if we leave the total expenses line, that also needs to be dropped by 190,000.
So would it make sense to just put the 190,000 as and call it something else up here?
I don't think so, but maybe that's just how my brain works.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go with that's fine, but then this. Would you rather have this line in here at all and drop down, or just deal with it down here?
Either way, the total program expenses, the 2.24, needs to change to 2050. So then the question becomes, do we want to add those to the general and program and make that line 2,210,000, or do we want to take that
Yes.
out? Okay.
Sorry.
Okay,
I think it makes sense to leave it in there. I'm good either way. But
Yeah.
if
so
we're
keep
leaving it,
stepping me
it's
through here,
2,210,000,
right here.
where the 2.4 is.
Yeah, here we go. Okay.
And then in that last, the unencumbered would be the 668, 556 unless we plan to attribute that to more programs in fiscal year 27.
And nothing by putting it this way, nothing would preclude us from doing that as we go
Correct.
through, right? If we needed to. So I'm gonna hopefully not mess this up too much. I'm gonna just start getting rid of this for clarity of what we're essentially going to be approving. So the numbers and everything, do it are all accurate. Do not do that. Sorry, I'm in my very manual mode here. Okay, so I can remove tabs in just a bit, but this is essentially then what the numbers would look like. Let me see if I can get it all on one screen. I know how I can get it all on one screen. It's like that. It's not true. This one. So this is what it would look like. Minus this cleanup here. Does that make sense now?
That makes sense to me. Everybody else good with that?
Do you, since these others categories have labels, revenue, expenses, do you want me to put something here?
I don't think so. I think having them at the end there calls out what they are, but
You know, it just looks like to me like it's under the expenses category, but I can put balance, I can put. Or we can just leave it. We understand it. I bet no one's gonna ask.
Matt, Amy, good?
What I will say is not in here is anything attributable to expenses for the
That was
current
going to
year
be my
because
next.
they
that
don't
was-
really carry over into this unless we have new expenses that arise.
Before we get into that, Matt, you put your hand up.
Yeah.
I'm curious, through the discussion, I guess I've lost track of why we're not calling that $190,000 a programs reserve.
We can change that. So I guess that's maybe was my misunderstanding of where we were going with that. I saw that as a reserve for the enterprise fund, not necessarily a reserve for the programs. If that was intended to be a reserve for the
Oh.
programs, then
Um,
that should move back up into programs.
Do we want to call it operating reserve then? Right, so for example, my budget has an operating section and essentially a dispatch support section. And my annual operating reserve is half of my projected operating expenses for the year or 6 months operating reserve. So if that is held for the enterprise in case of, right, and we should need to amend our budget, that's essentially our operating reserve. If I'm understanding it correctly. And I'm,
So,
I mean,
so
I'm not,
maybe just potentially change it right here as operating reserve.
yeah. I think that's a term that a lot more budget,
Or familiar with.
yeah.
And quick question, if it was an operating reserve, wouldn't it be the 160,000?
Because
I can't
that's all
remember how
we're
we came up with
projecting for
190.
operations. It was based on a percentage.
Ah, okay.
If
You can
I
make it
mean,
whatever you
we
want.
could say operating and program reserve.
Sure, you could name it for both operating and programs reserve. And you don't have to use a formula. It's generally most people use some kind of a formula to come up with the number that they have. But it's not necessary. If the board feels that 300,000 is good for reserve, we can make it whatever we want. When I have to explain it to my board, I say 6 months of operating.
In this particular case, it'd be roughly a quarter, right?
Yeah.
Of the
And then
projected revenues.
another common thing is the next line down would be commonly called available for spending, which means the same thing as unencumbered, but it's available for spending should we want to amend our budget or amend how we spend.
What are folks' thoughts on that?
Lynn, did you happen to see the spreadsheet budget example that I passed to you through Sage?
Yes. Well, that was before the last meeting, right?
I think I sent it after the last meeting.
No, I
Was it-
didn't. I looked and looked because I'm like, didn't I get something else from? Because you had mentioned you were going to send something and then I did not see anything. So I was like, I wonder if he was waiting for me to send this
No, I
out.
spent a couple hours on it and then it sent it to you about a week after the last meeting.
Oh, no, I did not see that because I did search all my emails and I went to the board emails and that Sage or is that?
I can review real quick to see. Uh,
Thank you.
so what timeline would this email have been sent out? I'm pretty sure I sent it out to the board. Just a moment here. Let me look at my sent.
And I'm not saying that it has to be done the way of this spreadsheet. It's just an example that I've learned through local government budgeting. So it was let's see. I think I sent it on the 20th.
20th? Okay, just a moment here. And what was the name of the document again? I do apologize.
911 Services Enterprise Fiscal Year 2027 Budget 5/2026 MG.
NG. Just a second. I do believe I sent this out to Lynn specifically. Was it supposed to go out to the entire board?
No, I just provided it along with some red line edits to the report document itself. So there was the redlined
You wanna,
report
would it,
Word
be
document and
helpful?
then a separate spreadsheet. And it was just to as suggestions or ideas for Lynn to consider for her work
I
on this.
recall. If you would like, I can respond to this email just so it pops up to the top of your inbox.
Is it something maybe, Matt, that we just want to share right now?
I think it'd be good to visualize as an alternative
Yeah.
way to look at this. And really at this point, it just sort of shows a budget structure that shows a fund at the bottom with reserves and available for spending, like we were just talking about a few minutes ago. I could share my screen, I guess.
Yeah, it probably, and I mean, you're familiar with it, so it might make sense for you to share. And then I'll stop sharing here and then we can go from there because you can walk through it easy.
Okay.
While you're pulling that up, I do want to call out the time. Is everybody good to continue past 4? We have this and then a couple other topics to get to.
I'm good.
Okay, I'm also working on my budget, so hopefully this is the right screen. They look very similar. Are you seeing 911 Services Enterprise fiscal year 2027 budget?
Yep.
So this is a pretty common structure for local government budgeting. And obviously, we're not local government. But state law requires local governments to show these 4 columns. And so every year you just update the 4 columns accordingly. And what you're doing is you're showing the progression from year to year. So we have a revenue section and an expenditure section, much like Lynn has. Within revenues, we have an operating subsection and a programs subsection. And then below the double line at the bottom is your fund. So the revenues and expenditures sections above inform the fund at the bottom. Okay. I don't know if I need to scroll or resize it for you guys. But essentially the fund at the bottom, it starts with your beginning fund balance. Where were you on January 1st at the opening of business? Right. So in column D in this example, our projected, right, estimated revenues, and I just put in some WAG numbers here to show some examples, but we're leveraging the math in the spreadsheet for us here, right? So through what was it through June? Let's imagine we're projecting $501,000 of revenues. And for fiscal year 26, we had $22,606 in personal expenses with Dora. So those are expenditures, leaving us with an ending fund balance of 478, and nothing held in reserves because, well, it's fiscal year 2026, which wasn't truly a budgeted year, right? But that 478,811, if that's our ending fund balance at the end of business, at the end of June, that is also our beginning fund balance for fiscal year 2027. So you can see that the 2 numbers are the same. In fact, it's by reference, right? And then our projected revenues up above inform this revenues section. Our projected expenditures informs this, calculating our projected ending fund balance for 2027. Okay. And then underneath that, within the fund section, we have our operating reserve, if we want one, based on our operating cost, right? So 6 months worth. And then an example of programs reserve. And then anything that would be left over that's not locked into reserves for this fiscal year, if you have monies left over inside this ending fund balance, right? So this ending fund balance of 274, 205 of that 274 is locked into operating reserve. 69 of that 274 is locked into programs reserve, leaving 0 in the available for spending line. Now, if we wanted to reduce either of these two reserves, we would have money left over. That remainder would then be shown here under available for spending. Then if any given year we want to spend more than we receive, right? Because our fund has grown enough that, let's say in a particular year, we were able to, and we want to spend more than our revenues will be. In order to structurally balance the budget, up here in line 6 is where we show the amount of money that we would be effectively taking from the fund balance in order to structurally balance the budget to 0 between revenues and expenditures. So in this example, we're spending $204,000 more than our projected revenues. So we put that fund balance transfer up here in E6 to result in 0 here in E25, showing a structurally balanced budget. Now, I'm not saying we have to use this, especially for this first amended for fiscal year 2027, but I think this is something to consider as a way to show where we've been and what we're projecting for the end of the current fiscal year and then that's the basis for our projections for the next fiscal year. So that if we don't want to use this table in the report that we're working on now, that's cool, but it's something to think about for at least for the next one.
So, because you've got this in a spreadsheet right now, if we right now put in your fiscal year projected enterprise fee, can you change that to the 668,556? And then the proposed was 2.4 million.
How confident are we in that also?
I think the discussion from the last meeting was that while if you took an average of so far, it wasn't going to quite get you to the 2.4 million, but we expected, with the PUC's input, we expected that those revenues should climb as missing providers send in their money, et cetera. I think that's why we came to the conclusion that we would stay with the 2.4 million. Is that what you all recall?
That is what I recall. It also is subject to what the, no, I guess it's not. Yes, that is what I recall. Yes, Daryl.
I'll just add that is variable based on the economy and whether people feel comfortable buying or continuing to keep paying for phones that they may not absolutely need. I also found out just this morning that there was a company that has been paying into this surcharge that has now decided that they're actually prepaid, so they're going to start paying the prepaid surcharge instead. So about 100,000 lines are being lost from the postpaid surcharge, and you guys don't get money from prepaid; you only get it from postpaid. 100,000 lines sounds like a lot, but at only 3 cents a month, that's still only about $36,000 a year. So it shouldn't make a huge difference to your bottom line. But the rest of it, the lower amounts for the first 2 months of the year is normal, and it should go up. In fact, we have seen that it going up for March and April so far.
Are we still? Does the state still anticipate roughly 800,000% that we're calculating this off of? Is that still a fair?
Yes, I mean, all we can really do is base it off of what we were getting last year, and what we were getting last year was about $800,000 per penny of surcharge.
per year.
So the guessing, the estimation or projections versus what actually happens is why we have these two columns for going forward, right? Because we'll know our actuals and our actual ending fund balance from the prior year in future budgets then is D29. Our actual, this is our anchor right here, D29.
Mhm.
What did we end with that we know for certain? And that's what we start with in our fund for certain on day one of the next fiscal year. So we changed the enterprise fee 2026 projected 668,556. Did I get that right, Lynn?
Yes.
And
Five,
then
five, six, yes.
and then 2.4 million for 2027. I zeroed out the fund balance transfer because a transfer won't be needed. Because our revenues would be more than our planned total expenditures. So this current set of expenditure numbers would cause our fund balance to increase by 190,000 as projected.
Okay, and so in the expenditures column for the fiscal 2026 projected, was that those were from the prior amounts given to us by, that I
Yes,
had that was given to us by the state?
yep. But
Yeah.
double check my numbers. I pulled them
And-
from stuff you had shared, I think, or
And-
somebody had shared, but
Yeah,
they
I think
certainly
Jolene
could
had-
be updated.
Had
as
shared
we-
those with me, and so we
Mhm.
might want to get updated numbers there.
Okay.
Daryl, if that's possible, should I just reach out to Jolene?
Yeah, Jolene can get that for you.
And so I guess to me, this makes sense. I mean, it does give we wouldn't. Yeah, so. Yeah, so this gives a working model then going forward that you can just kind of year over year
Yep.
calculate.
Yep. So you just update everything every year but the spreadsheet's doing, the math for you.
Mhm.
You just have to, you fill in, these are hard numbers, no formulas.
Right.
What did you actually adopt? These are hard numbers, right? There's formula math here, letting it do the math for you and on your totals. All that is this is your anchor right here. Ending fund balance, what you actually had at the close of business on the last day of your fiscal year, which is what you start with, and then just update everything every year
And so does
in a new copy. Yes.
So does the column E, since we were saying, well, is it fiscal year 2027 adopted? Does that become
Well-
adopted by virtue of this exercise we're doing today, or still proposed?
It gets adopted when we vote and approve the report that includes the budget.
Correct. So,
And-
so in terms of when we would send in the report, this being in the report would say adopted.
You could change, the line 3 title, you could change proposed to adopted.
Okay.
So in local government budgeting, and again, pardon my radio, I'm just going off of what I've learned doing
No.
business in local government. I'm required to do a preliminary budget very early in the year, which affects 30 other local government budgets because they depend on how much we decide we're going to give to dispatch, right? But a preliminary budget, Then by a certain date in October, I'm required by statute to provide a proposed budget as the agent for the board treasurer. And then once the board adopts the proposed budget as is or with any changes, it is officially the adopted budget. And we do it by resolution because government, but
This simplifies it for me. I don't know how others feel. So
I'm
thank
good
you
with
for
this.
doing that.
and so as an example, like fitting into the report, when I do a resolution, a budget resolution, I don't include the spreadsheet. I do a PDF of the selected cells I want from the spreadsheet, right? So the PDF, this would be flat, not
Right.
it would be
Set the
this.
print area.
This print area would become a PDF that gets embedded into the document that my board would approve. For example, you could do the same, just make a PDF or an image, JPEG or something of this selected area and embed that in the report.
Hey, Leonard, are you there?
Sorry for my radio cue.
It's the business we're in, right?
Thank you for the explanation. That this looks good to me. Makes sense.
And Lynn or Sage, I mean, feel free to share this to everyone so they can look at and poke around in the formulas and the numbers and, see if I did everything correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. I can share that to the rest of the board.
So, I'm just looking
Also, I note that I moved the resource center from programs up into operating, although it started as a grant program, really it's an ongoing operational cost for us from my perspective.
out of programs. I agree.
Good with that.
So then another remaining question would be, are we okay with having that much more revenues than we spend? Or
I mean,
do we want to
at
increase?
the end of the day, I mean, everybody's guidelines are different. I know even the additional $190,000, so bringing it up a little bit more. It as a percentage of your overall budget.
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't, you said you do 6 months. I know a lot of programs that when I was at the state that did 6 months as well, some of them have prescribed amounts. You can't be more
Mhm.
than higher, but I think given that we were at 25%, this might take it a little higher than that, but I think
So I'm talking about
me, we would
revenues
be
greater
fine.
than expenditures
right,
in E25, which is separate from
right.
the reserves. So do we want to be showing,
Well-
this much in reserves? Because at one time the consensus was we wanted to show that we're basically carrying over very little. So that it doesn't look like a pool of funding that could be rated to fill potholes.
Right.
Yeah, well, one, that's very true. It would, if it's at zero, maybe they just don't even look at it.
Or close to zero.
Or close to zero, but 190,000 isn't gonna get them much either.
Well, but that's something we didn't take into account is that's in addition to the 668,556
Whoops.
for fiscal year 26 that we essentially hadn't planned on or hadn't incorporated yet. Do we, my other question in relation to that would be in E34 programs reserve. That's a hard number right now. Do we want to have that as a function similar to the operating reserves. We're looking at half a year. Do we want to look at program reserves as a function of the programs,
Mhm.
10%, 20%, what, versus a hard number like that, and also incorporate that into the calculations? So now if, with that goal of being fiscally responsible by getting the money back out into the 911 community,
Yep.
essentially we have, minimum 40,000 to add, more likely 90, just shy of 91,000 to add toward our programs and be toward that kind of zero balance while still maintaining a reserve capability. That seems like a very high program reserve.
Yeah.
Hmm.
How about 10%? Is that what
Let's
you
go
said earlier?
10%.
Okay. So available for spending is ending the reserves and your available spending all come out of, or are in sum, your ending fund balance, right? So we have our ending fund balance minus the operating reserve minus the program's reserve equals what's left over and unencumbered or available for spending. So we're projecting that at the end of 2027, we'll have $686,000 in our fund. And out of that $686,000, 205 is locked in for this reserve, 195 is locked in for this reserve. For the year, it's locked in unless we adopt an amended budget. And then we have flexibility with $286,000 here.
Which then you could use for additional programs or whatever, because
If
it's
we want to
flexible.
amend, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because given that we know so little about what we're really going to spend in those other categories without the grants
Yes.
kind of being underway.
If we were a local government of the state of Colorado
Mhm.
and we spend 1 penny more than our adopted total expenditures, we have to file an amended budget with the state. We are not that, but that's how that works.
So basically,
So-
as of July 1, we would have 285,950 in available spending.
As of July 1, we would have 645,950.
So
Okay.
Okay, so
yeah, the
July 1,
280. I'm sorry.
July 1 is day one of our fiscal
Mhm.
budget year. So
Mhm.
this is what we start with. We're projecting, right? We do projections for the rest of this year so that we can calculate our projected ending balance for this year, which on the very next day, day one of the next year, July 1, this is what we are projecting that we'll start with. And we're projecting that throughout the 2027 fiscal year, starting July 1, we will accrue this much in revenues and spend this much. So what we think we're going to receive, what we think we're going to spend. So then on June 30th next year, this is where we think we're going to end.
Mm.
So this might be not a good analogy, but if I look at what that available for spending in the 2027 proposed is at the end of it, 285 is less than 16%. And
Mhm.
if my memory serves me correctly, I thought and again, we're not part of the state and all of that mess, but there is something in the statute that ends up applying to any number of different spending things in the state that says you're not supposed to at the end of the fiscal year. My recollection, subject to check, was you can't have more than 16% in
For an enterprise.
reserve.
Oh,
No,
Daryl has the answer.
this is just other really state stuff, and they
But we
just like they
wanna-
just attach it to certain programs or not. I remember our high cost fund for kind of rural telecom deployment. I thought it was 16%, and this would be less than that. So it wouldn't, to me, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary to have
But
285 in there.
would that be, would we have, if it's 16, I'll get to you one second, Daryl. If it were 16, we also have to keep in mind, there's already also the operating and program reserves of roughly 400,000. Would that be part of that calculation? Daryl?
Yeah, it is 16% normally for state funds. However, my understanding is that the enterprise is exempt from that. I think
They
your
are.
your bigger
I
concern
was just
is,
using it as kind of a, if someone were to look at it and think if it was out of alignment with anything.
Yeah.
The statutes have the 16%, but you said I'm missing 400,000.
So the operating reserves that we pulled out, that 205,000 on line 33, and the program reserves, the 10% of our programs on line 34. If we
Oh.
were held to a reserve requirement,
You're right.
I would
You're
assume
right.
those would be included in that.
If we didn't use those reserves. You're right.
So I just made another change here. Brings us closer to 0 and brings us lower here. But all of this is, subject to whatever everyone wants collectively.
And I will say it again, I want to get as much money back into the 911 system as possible. My
Mhm.
only concern is that estimate of 2.4 million and not having a long history of
Yep.
actual to back that up.
Yep. So I've been working on our budget for the last couple of weeks, and we're seeing a weird 14% decrease in VoIP revenues from our ETC. And everything but wireline is either flat or nearly flat. VoIP went way down, which means
Right.
surcharge is going to be down. Our prepaid charge went down because of an adjustment to the formula. But in terms of things that affect the surcharge, which is relative to our fee, in terms of total line counts, there's way less VoIP line counts based on my numbers.
And that is being a big provider, not in Colorado, but being a big provider in a lot of states. We're seeing that consistent. It ranges state to state, but it can be upwards of 10%, and it is continuing to decline, as is the wireless in some respects. Not necessarily just wireless, prepaid wireless. So if you were to, again, just go with a flat average of what we're currently getting, what
Mhm.
we've seen so far, you would end up with a 12-month projection of just over 2 million. That, like 2,005,000. So that would resolve the $400,000 issue.
Honestly, I would rather project a little low on revenues. And if we end up with more than that, it just gets reflected in next year's cycle of all of these numbers in the spreadsheet. Because we're spending based on our estimated revenues, right? I would rather be a little careful with both Michael, did you have a number in mind, or Lynn or Amy?
I had been, in my initial thoughts months and months ago, I had been thinking more like 700,000 per penny, which would put us at 2.1. I don't know if that's way too low, but I tend to budget on the much more conservative side.
Reasonable, I think, is what we're looking for here, right?
Right.
2 million, 2.1 million. Whoops,
Another zero.
another zero.
Is that too low? Is that too cautious?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think
I
so
don't,
either.
I don't see it going up from what we're seeing is industry numbers, and I think even, well, I don't know how exactly current they are, but even the FCC in its most current wireline report has these wireline counts declining. So,
Yeah, so
And I think we leave those at 600,
okay.
because of the money we have already collected fiscal year 26, we have that availability with some room. We still got, even with the reserves, the 151
Okay.
in the available. We're
So that
only,
mhm. So that makes our revenues $110,000 less than our planned expenditures, which is
which, I mean, based on your
due to
math,
the-
yeah, if you plug that into the fund transfer,
Mhm. Yep. So that brings us to a zero balanced budget, right? So here we have this is revenues not including the fund balance transfer. So this is real revenues right here, right? Real revenues. And then our expenditures are larger. So the net effect is it decreases our starting July 1 starting fund balance is decreased by $110,000 down to this. And then these three are subject to this amount. So that, right, so we have 535 minus 205 minus E34. 151,000 available for spending. Changed by about 110,000.
that is where my comfort level is. And I hope to be proven wrong and that we're closer to the 800, but I tend to budget low.
So Lynn, you studied the numbers. How do you feel about this? Is this reasonable?
yes, yeah, I do. I think it's very reasonable. I think I'd be surprised if it doesn't come in even a little lower than 2.1. So I think that's probably a good number.
2 million.
The 2 million just
Yep.
is literally just a theory of this is what our current run rate is. And so either way, it comes out pretty similar.
With that being a little lower, I don't know if this discussion has to take place somewhere else, but any ideas about increasing the fee a penny? I mean, 2.1 doesn't provide us a lot of opportunity to give a lot of program support. I know 2.4 doesn't really either, but just a thought.
Personally, I'd prefer seeing a few more months of actual numbers. We have until September, to
Sure. Okay.
get into that process.
Right.
And
I
To
can
me,
empathize
too.
with that, Amy, but I really do. but I could land where Michael does.
Okay.
And in essence, this fiscal year 2027 is what we decided on not too long ago for 2026. We're just, basically
Right.
rehashing it with a few additional months.
Mhm.
So when we think about it in that light, we're still kind of on our original fee in a
Right.
sense.
Right.
And it feels a little more defensible to me just because we don't yet have all the grants in the door and really seeing what kinds of numbers people are coming in and asking for, some really legitimate things we don't know yet. And so I think leaving it at 3 just till we get another year under here kind of helps keep the noise down
Sure.
externally as well. And yeah.
Yep. Makes sense.
Sorry to derail our agenda.
No, I think this is very
but
helpful.
I just felt like this was worth showing everyone.
I think you could be vice chair and financial secretary. Just let me
No.
know when you want
It's
to
like, no.
Elections are next month.
volunteer.
Let me just say, Lynn, I am super grateful for all the time that you have put in on everything else and this so far, because I don't have that time.
So as far as next steps, I mean, I think we kind of predicted before, didn't we? And I know we have some other items to get to that we would probably need another meeting
You need
in
to,
June.
you were thinking that you need to update these operating
Yeah,
expenses.
I'm wondering if we want to, I can do that very quickly here
Okay.
and incorporate this view into
Mhm.
the document, get some current numbers from Jolene, and then I guess one question I would have, if those are the existing numbers and they only have information through a certain period of time, I don't know if more expense would come up in the June timeframe, say, but I don't think it's a problem to leave them. Does anybody think it's a problem to leave them with whatever new actuals I get from Jolene that's kind of up to this point?
I think it's okay for you, Lynn, to project estimates on a typical monthly cost.
Okay,
And
so
then that's the purpose of this column, right? Is
yeah.
when I write my budget, I'm doing my budget now in May and June. I'm having to project my costs and revenues for the rest of 2026 for my prelim budget. This column's a wild ass guess.
Okay.
Best available information, look at stats, look at trend line analysis. I've got a whole set of, like on my revenues, I got a whole set of charts with trend lines for 911 charge revenues, blah, blah, blah. And use your expertise. If March, April, and May were this amount, what's your WAG on what it'll be for June?
Yeah.
Add that to that, and that's your projection for the total for the year.
Okay, I'll just kind of do an averaging thing again, because I don't think we're expecting a bunch of new activity necessarily. So it should be pretty straight line there. So I will do that, incorporate it into the document, get this document out as quick as possible, and then hopefully it's in very final form that we can just approve it.
What I'll do is I'll send this updated copy to Sage,
Okay.
so you don't have to redo all the typing that I've done.
Yeah.
And
Guess the formula.
and then ask her to send that to you
Okay.
so that you can use it to rebuild this portion of the report.
Sounds good.
All right, I guess I can stop sharing then.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
I did have two other edits to the report.
The documents, okay, I'm
I'm gonna
gonna
bring that back up.
see if I can find the share button again. Okay.
So after the table,
Well, the table disappeared.
okay.
Why did the table disappear? It was literally, I was just looking at it, the table was there. Okay, well, tell me where you're at and I'll make sure.
So one was in the footer of the table, the kind of subscript.
Oh,
You had described the two payments for the planned contract with the resource center. And that was the original plan, but that has changed to the monthly reimbursements system.
Let me just go in this phone too.
We're gonna
Oh.
delete that last bullet point, right?
Let me see if I just did not scroll down. There we go. Okay, I'm here.
So where it says the contract payment schedule.
Right here. Yep.
Yep. So after the word includes, delete two payments of 100,000 due June 30 and August 30. And replace that with monthly reimbursements up to 200,000. And then add the A back, as well as, and then after the second as before 50,000 and additional, just to really call that out as not part of that 200,000.
Okay.
And then in the next paragraph under 7, toward the end, it says, don't laugh at me. The second to last line, adjustment to the 911 enterprise fee, instead of will, I would say may, because we may change it, we may not.
Yeah. Yep.
And those are the only notes I had. Daryl, yes, sir.
Where you had $200,000, can you go back to that just real quick?
Oh, I'm sorry, that was in
Right.
the.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
Where it says monthly reimbursements up to $200,000, can we put some wording in there to make it clear it's not $200,000 a month? Maybe like $200,000 total for the year or something like that? I'm sure Connie would be happy if we gave them $200,000 a month.
The contract may say otherwise.
We could get a whole lot of GIS work done for everybody that way. Sweet.
And then after that, where it says addition 50,000, we just have to add the AL.
Additional, I'm sorry. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, thank you.
Good catch. Okay. All right, and then did you have comments? Someone had comments about you said there was a bullet item that needed to be met.
Above that.
Yeah, okay.
That highlighted one.
Remove it.
Yeah, because that is this document.
Right. Okay. And then I think
Excuse me.
we're back up then to this initial. If this needs to be restated at all, financial unknown and projected. Is that accurate?
I would change the as well as just to and. I think it. And then maybe a comma after the 26.
Do we still have Sage with us?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, you should have a fresh copy of that budget spreadsheet. in your
Awesome.
email.
I'll get that sent out here.
Thank you.
Okay. And were there any other comments you had from your previous look at it, Matt, that the email I did not see?
I think Michael might have covered.
Okay.
Let me open my. Yeah. I think Michael got that one. And that one. Sorry. I think they're mostly covered. I'll take another
Yeah, if you see anything.
look when the next version comes out, and it's probably going to be minimal if there's anything.
Okay. All right. As always, I really appreciate others' financial expertise. Okay. I think that is it on my end. I don't know if we want to wait to schedule until after your other items, or if we want to reschedule them or schedule another meeting now.
Do we want to look at our calendars real quick? I'm thinking maybe, 17th, 2 weeks to get that table changed out, any other updates. If you can get that out to everybody, and then we regroup on the 17th for a special meeting for the purposes of adopting this financial report.
I am unavailable at our normal time on the 17th.
Okay.
Is there a time that works
Is it-
for you?
I could do 1 o'clock.
That works here.
I could do 1
Okay.
o'clock. Sage and
Lynn-
Kirsten.
That works
Sorry.
for me.
I'm currently checking the Zoom account. You said the
Oh, yeah.
17th, correct?
Wednesday,
Yep.
the 17th at 1 o'clock.
Yep, that'll work for the Zoom account.
Awesome. Lynn, does that give you enough time to
Plenty.
get revised?
Plenty. It's not gonna be hard at all for me, except for just a little bit of timing to get with Jolene.
Mhm.
That's it. So,
Okay, so we can review it in advance of the meeting and maybe send back suggestions and
yeah,
maybe
my plan would
vote
be
on it.
early next week to get it out to you all.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sorry to consume all the time.
No,
No,
this
this
is
is
important stuff.
critical.
It is important.
Shall we see if we can speed run the rest?
Yeah.
All right. Fiscal policy. So we talked about this needing to be done to, let me pull it up, to solidify our fiscal year. And the thought was that we could add it to the fiscal policy. I was thinking just one line in the preamble: enterprise shall observe the fiscal year of the state government, which shall commence on July 1 and end June 30 of each year. I included the CRS that's in. I didn't know if that was clarifying or if that was too much, because there are other, in that CRS, there are other functions of, financial reporting, which we are not subject to. So I'm torn on that one. I can do without it. But thoughts on,
If we do or don't, and I'm good with it being in there, we might just want to capitalize state, or state of Colorado government or something, just so it's got the context.
I'm actually typing something into the chat.
Okay.
Materially the same, but kind of like what Lynn was saying. Enterprise shall observe the fiscal state of Colorado, which is one, two, it did not include, but I think you should keep the CRS reference.
Hey, and this, I pulled this language directly from that CRS,
Ah,
but it doesn't have to be. Shall observe
and feel free to use all or none of what I put in the chat. What does everyone feel about it?
that is Matt's change.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I like it.
Is there, and then the only other change I have to that document would be updating it today if it is motioned upon and amended with that statement.
Okay, motion to approve the 911 Service Enterprise Board fiscal policy as amended.
Oh, discussion point.
Oh, Matt's
I'm
awesome.
sorry, I have a vote, but not a second. She either needs to rescind her vote or we need a second.
I rescind.
So this is something that Kirsten pointed out with the bylaws, and it's something that we do here as well. We have a fiscal policy. We should probably change the title to be amended fiscal policy, and then in the future versions of any of the policies or the bylaws, it would be second amended, third amended, fourth. At least as practice learned from our attorney here, Kirsten certainly can
Clarify beyond the date.
Yeah.
That sounds great to me.
I'm fine with that. All right, with the addition of the title change and that statement, now, Lynn, is there a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve the 911 Services Enterprise Board first amended fiscal policy.
Second that.
Thank you, Lynn. Amy, an additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Fiscal policy is amended. Thank you. Grant application process. So I did have a couple quick notes about the spreadsheet, which Daryl, I believe was yours. When I open it, the top here gets cut off. So I was thinking like a merge and center, just so it doesn't get cut off, or some kind of formatting to ensure those cells didn't get hidden. Once we're ready, it will need that link. And then you're submitting the date on the cover page. I think that should just carry over instead of being two separate date fields. The same way as the name and the agency and project name carry over from the cover. I don't see why the date shouldn't carry over also. So those are my only 3 comments on that.
That's easy enough.
Agreed. Mhm.
With those changes, are we feeling like we are in a place to open that grant application process and start advertising that to all applicable bodies? Or do we want to wait until after the 17th when we finalize that financial report with the budget as amended? Thoughts on timing?
I don't think it would hurt to wait. Just,
Okay.
yeah.
I think it would be proper to wait. Does it really matter? Mm, I'm on the fence.
I'm fine with waiting. I don't want to be the cause of a holdup, so I wanted to make sure everybody is what everybody's comfort level is.
Yeah.
All right, we will wait. Can we, so with the special meeting on the 17th to discuss the financial report, can we plan for the July meeting to hopefully have a final vote and recommendation to go live? Will that anticipated, certainly for final discussion?
That seems reasonable. I do want us to be careful about setting expectations relative to the budget that gets adopted. I think that from conversations or things that I've seen, I think there's some folks that think we're going to have a lot more money available than we will.
Well,
More money in sooner?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But that's for another discussion, another time, I should say.
All right. Next up is the 911 Resource Center contract. So we did get a final version that is available for me to DocuSign. Speaking based on our previous discussions, previous budgeting, open meetings, consultation with Kirsten, I am good to DocuSign this today unless anybody has any concerns to bring up. Hearing silence, I will.
I'm okay with it, notwithstanding the typos.
I did notice a couple, line breaks that didn't come through properly
Yeah,
on the,
formatting stuff, but
yeah, but I wasn't
nothing that
gonna hold
actually
up
matters.
for that.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, then we are into board comments. I do have, because we have the adjustment to the fiscal year in both now the fiscal policy and the bylaws, based on our new bylaws, our election meeting is at the first meeting of the fiscal year, which will be next month. So with the adjustments that we have made from calendar year, fiscal year, the timing, I just wanted to throw that out there that technically,
Yep.
Matt and I have been in our chair and vice chair positions for more than one term. But with the adjustments, it's less than 2 terms. It's kind of wonky. I am of two minds. I kind of want to see out the start here, but I also am very happy to step aside and let somebody else take the reins. I reviewed based on the bylaws, based on the changes in timing with Kirsten. Matt and I could be reelected if it is perfectly open and exposed as because of the wonkiness, if that is the will of the board, and if Matt and I want to continue in these positions, and Matt has his hand up.
Amy and Lynn, how would you feel about us holding an election to meet the requirement, but we re-elect everyone as is by acclamation?
I feel good about that. It seems kind of a little bit more by the
Yeah.
book.
We will definitely go through the process. I just wanted to bring up and let everybody, give everybody time to think about it at least, whether or not you were comfortable with that.
I'm being
I'm good.
spammed by the help. Sorry for the background.
Last thing, anybody else have any board comments for the good of the order? All right, hearing none. Our next scheduled meeting would be our next regular meeting, because of our special meeting on the 17th. Our next regular meeting would be Wednesday, July 1st. This is during the NENA National Conference. I didn't know if anybody was going to that, and therefore if we should adjust our schedule accordingly, or if everybody was available on Wednesday, July 1st.
I will be at Nina. But I haven't looked at the schedule yet to see if it would be a conflict. I think I'm an hour ahead in Columbus, so I don't think it'd be a problem to meet at 3 p.m.
All right.
if everybody else
Excellent.
is okay with that.
I don't know if Andrew's going or not, but we'll keep it scheduled for July 1st unless something comes up and we need to change it. Then unless there's anything else, thank you so much for staying an hour longer. Really important stuff. Yes, Matt. Matt. Just waving hi.
I think it might have been up there from before.
I was on mute.
Oh, there you go.
Rare error. If only I knew how to operate a phone. With Andrew not here, but I'm gonna guess he's gonna be at Nina. I can't help but wonder if we should do a poll in
Do
case
that.
it ends up being better that we do it on Monday the 6th or something like that.
Send out a poll for everyone to fill out to see if the 6th would be preferable.
If you don't mind.
Oh, not at all.
Sometimes on the 1st, 6th, and 7th, perhaps.
So I am unavailable on the 7th.
Ah, okay. 1st, 6th, and 8th.
I would prefer not, just letting you know that now.
How about the first, sometimes on the 1st, 6th, and 8th? It is a holiday weekend, so who knows what plans are going to be.
I'm wide open on the 6th and relatively open on the 8th. Same time on the 8th, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
First, I'm still in Nina, but
All right, Sage, you got that?
Yes, I'll make sure to I'll make sure that the 6th and the 8th are both options for the poll.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, unless there is anything else.
Happy birthday, Connie.
Connie's
happy
birthday.
birthday. I didn't know that. Happy birthday.
It's on the record. Happy birthday, Connie.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Then I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Matt and Amy. We are adjourned at 4:58 p.m.
Great
Woohoo.
meeting, everyone. Take care.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
Take care, everybody.